Okay, this is a video response to the last episode of Voyager and how much it sucked. The most important thing I want to say in response to that video is thank you. Thank you for finally someone else who knows how much that episode was a piece of shit and how many holes there were in the plot. I'm so sick of seeing it on top 10 lists and people saying what a great episode it was. What I do want to clarify, though, is that I actually am a fan of Voyager and did like the series overall. It's not one of my favorite shows, but I did really like it. Which is why I hated that episode so much, because it basically ruined the entire series. Because here we are, for 7 years, trying to find out how our characters get home, and we get this piece of shit explanation. Um, and I really like what you mentioned about some of the holes in the plot, such as the characters who died in the past 7 years. She didn't give a shit about them, but these other 20 characters, we had to save them, or however many it was that they saved by erasing this imaginary timeline. Um, and you got to think, a lot of people died in the 7 years that the show was going. I can't remember how many exactly, but it was a lot more than 20 or however many it was in his imaginary timelines that they saved. So it basically makes Janeway look like she's playing favorite. She's like, well, I don't care about these Joe Blow ensigns who died. Fuck them. But Tuvok, well, holy shit, I gotta go back in time and save that. And like you said, they had plenty of opportunities to make it so they never got in the Delta Quadrant in the first place. The one you mentioned about the Romulans one, there's also another one where the ship gets fractured in time and every part of the ship is in a different timeline. And past Janeway comes up with a way to make it so the ship will realign in her timeline and the timeline before the ship was trapped in the Delta Quadrant so that they never got trapped. But our present Chakotay character convinces her not to, saying that, well, you can't just erase the 7 years because we had all this great impact. We saved the Ocampa. We did all this stuff in the Delta Quadrant. We rescued the 7 of 9. So, you can't erase what we did. But then a few episodes later, that's exactly what future Janeway does. She erases all this stuff, but has the audience is supposed to be a-okay because it was these imaginary years that we didn't see. Like if they would have actually erased the past 7 years of Voyager, the fans would have been, well, why the fuck did I waste my time watching this show if they just go back and erased everything I just watched? But these future years that I haven't watched them, so it's okay to erase them, even though less people died. The Voyager got the shit beat out of them during those 7 years, but it seems like they did very well for themselves in these imaginary years that they erased. So 7 of 9 means a hell of a lot more to Janeway than all these other things. It's ridiculous, and plus you get into the holes with the plot with the Borg. Um, there's also what you didn't mention in this video is that the episode made the Borg seem far too invincible. They had this intergalactic hub where they could send ships instantly to anywhere in the galaxy. Well, they have this. Why haven't they assimilated the galaxy yet? What the hell are they waiting for? They could have sent a fleet to Earth. In the past, in these other episodes of Voyager, the Borg talks about, ooh, we really got to assimilate Earth. Well, why haven't they? They could have, because before they sent like one ship at a time, and the Federation has a really, really hard time destroying it. They barely escape assimilation from one ship. So why not send a fleet of ships? They have the capability. They have this hub where they can instantly send any ships there. Why not send a fleet of ships to Earth? Boom. You got Earth right there. And, maybe even two ships could do the trick because they barely escape getting past one. So just if the fleet's too precious to you, send two ships. But so it's just ridiculous. And plus, there's this whole Chakotay 7 of 9 thing, which was utter nonsense. These characters had no chemistry, no history. They played this thing with the Doctor in 7 of 9 for 3 years. The audience was very invested in that, but they just tried to play it off like, oh, the Doctor, he gets some bimbo in the future, so 7 of 9 can hang out with this guy she has no interest in before. It's fucking stupid. And also, what you mentioned about the biggest middle finger. This was the biggest middle finger to the audience was the ending of the show where they get home and boom, they're home. We're not going to show you what happens. Fuck you. Fuck you, audience. You spent 7 years trying to find out what happened after these people get home, and we're not going to show it to you. Go to hell. It just ruined the series. And I talked to some people who argue with me about this, and they say that it would have been anticlimactic for them to show what happened after they got home. Well, I call bullshit on that. Because a book, there was a couple of Star Trek books, and I know they're not canon. The one called Homecoming, and there was a sequel to that. There was, two in a group. They showed what happened after they got home, and it was a very interesting plot, far, far better than this piece of shit last episode. And it was a lot more interesting plot by itself, and we got to see what happened after they got home. So the anticlimactic bullshit, they could have done a better job. In fact, I would suggest to anyone read this book, especially the writers of Voyager. They should have read the book and know this is how you morons should have actually ended the series. So I actually tried to pretend that this last episode doesn't exist and the book is actually the way they ended the series. That way I can actually watch the earlier episodes without thinking, my God, this sucks because it ends so horribly. And also, there were other episodes earlier in the season or the series where they said, oh, we're going to get home, and they end up not getting home. Some of those episodes were way, way better than the last episode, where it would have been much better if they simply did get home, but they had to say, oh, no, we didn't get home. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So thanks for posting that video. That's really awesome.